God bless all of those that have ears to hear. This is Sister Liberty, and I'm back with another teaching for you. The first thing that I want to start off by saying is how the devil comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy. We need to respect that that is what he is, and that is what he comes to do. If he can get you out of the way, if he can get you to forfeit your inheritance, if he can get you to lose your crown and miss eternal life, then he's done his job. So that's why it's vital and important that you understand who you are and that you understand that your life has purpose and is meaningful. So I've been thinking a lot about just how God allowed me to experience and to go through certain things just to bring me where I am today. And I was reminded very recently to appreciate the way that my life is in God. It'd be different if I was living a lifestyle outside of God. Then, I'll have a lot of issues and I'll have a lot to be ungrateful for. But as a son of God, God does so many things for us, and sometimes we can look the small things that God does on the daily because we're looking for the bigger things to thank God for. We're looking for the major things. We're looking for the big testimonies in our lives to bless and to thank God. But there are small things that God does every day for us that we overlook. And so if we can appreciate the fact that God took us from where he brought us from, and he brought us here to this place, then we can have a lot more victories. We can have a lot more days of being conquerors and being overcomers. And so I thought about how, many times we have all of these plans for our lives and how we want our lives to look and wanting our lives to go a particular way. And when our lives doesn't go the way that we want, when it doesn't look the way that we imagine it to look, many of us, when you're younger, when you're that young girl, you have all of these imaginations. And at least for me, I had a whole fairy tale, in my mind as a young girl of how I wanted to meet a prince and be married to him and be a princess and live happily ever after. But my life did not go that way. I wanted my life to look a particular way. I had an image, I had a perspective. I had beliefs on how my life should look. And we need to respect the fact that we are not the ones that are in control of our lives. You may say, but I make whatever decisions that I want, Sister Liberty. I make my decisions. I make my choices. I make what I believe to be right in my own eyes. But we need to understand that God is the one in control. The Word of God says that all of a man's goings are of the Lord. So although it may seem like we are the ones that make the decisions necessarily, or it may seem like we're the ones that are making the decisions and we are the ones that are choosing our lives. But really, you are being led to make the decisions that you make. It's a higher truth, so we're not going to get too much into that. But the point that I wanted to make is many of us, we had all these plans and all these ideas of how we wanted our lives to go. Maybe you wanted to go to college and get that degree. Maybe you wanted to be married by a particular age or a particular time. Maybe you wanted to have kids by a particular time, or maybe you wanted to have your own home. Maybe you wanted to be a homeowner and you wanted it to be said that by age 25, you begin to own your own home, or you have your own car, or you have your own business. You are the owner of this LLC, or you are the owner of this company over here. And society has really done a good job with molding us and conditioning us to believe that our lives have to look a particular way by a certain time. Meaning, you don't have this by this age, if you're not married by this age, if you don't have kids by this age, if you're not starting, or if you're not, doing your career at this age, then you're lacking, you're slacking, you're not successful, you're a failure, you didn't accomplish anything, you didn't achieve anything. And we need to understand that God does have a plan for our lives. But if we never go to God to seek out that plan, then how can you fulfill the calling of God on your life when you are trying to live your life in your own control? You're trying to be the one in control of your life. You're trying to be the one who make these things happen, because maybe you were not able to accomplish that goal or that plan, at 25 or at 21. And so you're still trying to pursue it. You're still trying to go after it, although it failed. So many of our plans failed. Many of our goals, many of the ways we wanted our lives to look, we wanted our lives to be set up, it failed. It did not, it did not become fulfilled. It was not successful. It did not turn out the way that we wanted it to. And we need to understand the reason for that. Why did that fail, Lord? Why is my life the way that it is? I never intended for my life to look this way, Lord. I wanted to, be married, and I wanted to stay married. I didn't want multiple marriages. I didn't want multiple children from, different relationships. I wanted my life to go this way. And many times God will allow these plans to fail simply so that our lives are redirected back to Him, so that we know that He's the one that is really in control. I know you had a 5-year plan. I know you had a 10-year plan. I know you had things sought out for your life, but I want you to know that I am the one in control of your life. And when our plans begin to fail, when our world comes tumbling down, then oftentimes, we are met at that crossroad, having to decide whether or not it's God that we want or the world that we want, because we understand that we need God. We understand that we need God, and that He is the one who tells us how our lives are supposed to look. But many times, most people don't want God controlling their lives. They don't want God, telling them how they're supposed to live. Most people want to be in control over their own lives. They want to be able to make whatever kinds of decisions that they want, even if it's killing them, because a life outside of God is a deadly one. A life outside of God is one that's only going to go but so far. So we are met at this crossroad where we are having to make a decision. And when we are saying crossroad, we're saying that there's a stage or point in your life where you are now faced to make a very important decision, because living your life in God is a very important one. Dying is scary. Not knowing where you're going to spend eternity can be scary. So you are met with a very important decision. What do I do? Because the world is calling you. The world is calling you. Society is calling you. Social media is calling you. And then you have God. You have salvation. You have eternal life. And so you are at this crossroad, and you don't know what decision to make, because all of your plans failed. And that's not to say that those whose plans have not failed, it does not mean that everything is still going the way that they want it, because again, God is the one in control of our lives. Again, it seems as though you are the one that really is in control, but all of your thoughts are being led. All of your thoughts are being influenced. You don't know that because you live a lifestyle of sin, that your thoughts are being influenced by what you watch on TV, the kind of music that you listen to, the people that you listen to. Your life is being influenced, and God knows that. God knows that. Jesus says that no man can come unto me except the Father draws him. God has to draw you. God has to open your ears to hear. God has to open up your understanding. He has to open up your heart to perceive. He has to open up your eyes to see clearly. If God doesn't open your ears or open your eyes and your heart, then you can't come to Him. You won't come to Him. It will be hard. You will be at that crossroad, and you will choose the world thinking that you are making the better decision, thinking that maybe there will be another opportunity for me to be at this place again and make the right decision, which will later on be God. Most people think that they'll just accept the gospel, they'll give their lives to God on their deathbed, but the reality is most people don't even make it that far. They don't even make it to their old age. They don't even make it on their deathbed, that hospital bed where, they're suffering, life cheated them, life lied to them, life robbed them. They were told life was going to be, an amazing journey. They could be anything that they wanted. They had failed marriages. They had failed relationships. Their children are not doing well. One of their children is on drugs. Another one of their children is in prison or in and out of jail. Another one of their children, is in and out of relationships, they're single, they're dying, they're old, they're suffering. They've been diagnosed with this disease. And so life cheated them. Life cheated them. And so we could find ourselves having all of these plans for our lives, all of these goals, and they fail. And we need to ask ourselves, why are my plans failing? Number one, it's because you're out of the will of God. Number two, you have to find your purpose in God, because what you think is purpose may not be what God considers to be purpose for your life. You're out here and you're striving to try to fulfill something that's only going to fail. You're trying to build something that's not going to last, because the foundation isn't founded on a rock. The foundation isn't solidified. The foundation is something that you build on these false dreams, these fairy tale dreams. You watched that movie and you were inspired, and so you have all these dreams now. Or you listen to that motivational speaker. Maybe it was Dr. Martin Luther King, or maybe it was Maya Angelou, or I don't know, Harriet Tubman. You went through history and you were inspired. So you have all of these ambitions. You have all of these dreams and all of these goals that you believe are accomplishable. And when you find yourself trying to pursue these things and they fail you, then you are left to question what's happening with your life. So I read the book of Ruth yesterday, and as I was reading her life, I began to imagine that, man, I know she never thought that her life was going to turn out the way that it did, because we are living our lives. And again, we're human. We have perspectives. We have ideas about how we think our lives should go. As a woman, as a man, you want your life to look a particular way. So Ruth, who was the mother or the daughter-in-law of Naomi, she had her life sought out. She had her life planned out. She wanted her life to go a particular way. Obviously marriage was one of those things that was involved, because she was married to one of Naomi's sons. So Naomi had two sons. Naomi left the land of her people because there was a famine. And so she went to the land of Moab, and she took her two sons and she was with her husband. But her husband died. And all that she has left are her two sons and their wives, Orpah and Ruth. And eventually her sons died. Now Ruth is married to one of her sons. So after all this happens, Naomi decides, you know what? I need to go back to my hometown. I need to go back to my people group. I need to go back because I shouldn't have left in the first place. And so as she's deciding to go back, she begins to bring her daughters, because they don't have anything. None of them have anything. Naomi doesn't have anything. Ruth and Orpah, they don't have anything. They all just lost their husbands. None of them, I'm sure, woke up one day and said, I'm going to lose my spouse one day. I'm sure they had plans to live forever with their spouse, to raise up seed, to raise up a family, to maintain their inheritance, but that didn't happen. And so Naomi, she decides to return back to her homeland, and her two daughter-in-laws, they're following her. And at some point, she begins to come to a place in her mind where she says, you know what? Don't follow me. At this point, I don't even think that it's worth following me. Like, I don't have anything to offer you all. Life has been bad. Life has been messed up. Life has gone away. You and I did not attempt for it to go. So why don't you all, let's just stop here. So this is the crossroad for them. This is the crossroad for Ruth. This is a crossroad for Orpah. Naomi is telling them, listen, let's just stop right here. Go back home. I don't have anything to offer you. She tells them that. She says, I don't have anything to offer you. She realizes that she's out of the will of God, because no one told her to I think it was Bethlehem, Judah. Yeah, no one told her to leave. And so she's telling her daughters, go. return back to you to your mother's house. She said, let the Lord deal kindly with you. So she's releasing blessings over them because she understands, man, I done pretty much wasted these women's life. I don't have anything to offer you. So why don't you just go back? God will present us with opportunity to go back. God will give you opportunity to decide, what do you really want? Is it the world that you want? Is it me that you want? Do you love money? Do you love career? Do you love relationships? Do you love family? Do you like material things? What do you want in life? He'll let you decide. So Ruth and Naomi, they're being given an opportunity to choose. No, you get to choose what you consider to be most valuable in life right now. What's important to you right now? Is your life important? Are other people's lives important? What do you want? And so it says that she began to kiss them, it says she kissed them and they lifted up their voices and began to cry. Like, no, this is hard. We've been through so much together. You lost your husband. We lost our husbands. This has been hard. So she's telling them to go back. Listen, go back. Don't follow me anymore. Go back. And it says in verse 10, and they said unto her, surely we will return with you and your people. So this is the first time Naomi begins to encourage them to go back. She kisses them, as a way of saying farewell. I love you, the kiss. And they begin to tell her, like, no, we want to follow you. We want to be with you. Like, we can't just leave you by yourself. You didn't go through this alone. We went through this with you. And she begins to turn again to them and say, no. Like, she says, why will you go with me? Like, I don't have anything for you. She's letting them know, like, I don't have nothing for you. And it's clearly, obviously, that I don't have anything and that I'm out of the will of God. I don't have nothing for you. And so she encourages them to turn again. Go your way, for I'm too old. I'm too old to have a husband. And even if I should say there's hope, and I should get a husband tonight, she says, and bear sons, she says, would you wait for them? Are you willing to tarry for them until they're grown? Would you stay for them? Or she says, will you stay for them from having husbands? Will you wait? Would you wait till they're old and not have a husband in the meantime while you're waiting? She says, nay, my daughters, like, this is not a reality. She knows this. She knows that she's aware of this. She says, for it grieves me much for your sake that the hand of the Lord has gone out against me. Meaning it makes her sad knowing that as a result of her decisions, they have been affected. Because our decisions does not just affect us, but our decisions affect others. So she's saying, because of my decisions, because I'm out of the will of God, because I've made my own plans and they have failed, now you have to suffer. And so it grieved her. It burdened her. It made her sad seeing the way life has turned out for them all. Like, man, this is a messed up situation. It's just messed up. And they lifted up their voices and wept again. Like, their emotions are involved. They're crying. This is a lot right now. You're asking me to make a decision. God will do that in our lives, where he will ask us to make a decision. And it may be hard at times. It may be challenging, because when you're at that crossroad, you are choosing between some very vital things. This is their lives. Like, depending on if they go left, that's going to affect their lives. Depending on if they go right, that's going to affect their lives. This is going to impact my life. This crossroad. So no matter what decision I make, it's going to impact my life. However, I don't want to make the wrong decision. Any person who has been at that crossroad and you understand that, man, it's literally death or life right now. You want to make sure that the path you choose is the right path. You want to make sure that when you choose to step on to this path, that it's going to benefit your life. It's going to bless your life. You're not going to experience heartache. You're not going to experience suffering, but that you will be able to step into the favor of God, because you've decided to choose the right path, the best path. And I don't even want to say the best path, because sometimes being at that crossroad and choosing the best path can look like you choosing this over here, although it's the wrong path. So I want to say choosing the right path, because I can choose what may seem best to me, because I'm doing it based on my own understanding and my own knowledge. I can choose the best path because it may seem easier. That path down there looks like it comes with challenges. So a person may choose the easier path or the best path instead of the right path. And so they're crying, they're weeping. Orpah kisses her mother-in-law, but Ruth, it says, Ruth clave unto her, like, I'm sorry, I'm not going. I'm not going back, because I know what's back there, but I also know what you are and who you are and what you have. And so she says, behold, your sister-in-law has gone back unto her people. So now you can kind of see that Naomi, her tone has changed. Like, yeah, your sister has gone back. I thought she was going to stick with me because she was crying and weeping like this is what she really wanted. But now that she was given opportunity to make a decision, she chose what she wanted. She chose to go back. Most people are going to choose to go back to the world once things get hard. Once adversity, becomes intense or intensified or more aggressive or more severe. Once persecution becomes more severe, once opposition becomes more hostile, and people are losing things and people are coming against them, people and your family are coming against you, most people are going to turn back. This is not what I planned for my life. I didn't plan to be a widow. Ruth and Orpah did not plan to be a widow. Naomi did not plan to be a widow. They didn't sign up for that. They didn't say, I'm going to get into this marriage expecting to be a widow one day. No, that's not what they signed up for. And so Orpah decided that this was as far as she was willing to go. But Ruth, it says she clave unto her. And Naomi, at this point, she's trying to see where Ruth's heart really is at. Like, hey, your sister has gone back, and understanding that we could consider Orpah and Ruth to be close because they were from the same people group. Yeah, your friend, I'm sure they had a close relationship. They were married to brothers. Your sister, and I think that's how she says it. She said, your sister-in-law, your sister-in-law has gone back unto her people and unto her gods. Return you after her. Return after her. Go while you have the chance. Go while you have the opportunity. Go before it's too late. Go. No. Go. And Ruth said, entreat me not to leave you. Beg me not to leave you. Don't force me. Don't make me go or return from following after you. For where you go, I will go. And where you long, I will long. Your people shall be my people and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die. And there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if aught but death depart from you and me. So she's saying, listen, I've decided that I'm going to follow you. I don't want to go back to my people group. I don't want to go back to my hometown. I don't want to go back to my gods. But there's something on Naomi that Ruth could perceive. There's something on her that was worth holding on to and worth following behind. And so in this moment, Ruth is saying, don't make me leave. Don't make me go. I know my sister-in-law has gone, but I don't want what's behind me, because sometimes it can be more easier to just go back. Like, I'll just go back to my family. I'll just go back to my homeland, my city. I'll go back to my comfort zones. I'll go back to my bondage. I'll go back to the problems I had, because sometimes that seems easier. That's what I'm talking about, that crossroad where it can just seem easier to just default back to what you're familiar with and what you're used to, because you found comfort in that it's almost as if you were able to predict your life, because you grew up in this area. You know these people. You've been around these people your whole life. And so it can be easier to just choose what may seem comfortable in the moment rather than you giving of yourself. Orpah represents the world. Ruth represents pursuing a relationship in God, in Christ. Yeah. Orpah went back. She went back. At the crossroads, she decided to take the easier route. She decided to take what was more familiar and comfortable. It seemed as though she was really heartbroken. It seems as though she was really sorrowful for everything that had happened. That's not to say that she wasn't, but it didn't take much for her to eventually decide, I'm going to just go ahead and go back to my people group. I'm glad you gave me the opportunity. I'm glad you gave me the choice. I'm glad you just, you made it very easy for me. I'm glad. But Ruth said no. She said no. And because of Ruth's decision, she is now a part of the same family line through which Jesus Christ came through. She was blessed as a result of leaving everything behind. You have to understand, she left everything behind. Most people are not willing to give up anything to follow God, to follow after someone who, man, they don't know what's going to become of this person. You have to understand that Ruth, she was there to experience everything that Naomi went through. Her mind could have said, man, this woman is cursed. But she understood, no, this woman is blessed. No, there's something about this woman that I cannot depart from. God is with her. Although she's gone through some things because she was out of the will of God, God is still with her. I'm going to clave to her. I'm going to stick with her because there's something about her that I can't necessarily perceive, but I can discern that it's there, and I'm willing to go all the way with her. So am I going to leave everything behind? I am. I'm going to leave it all behind because she could perceive that there's something greater. She says that the only thing that's going to separate her from Naomi is death. Like, I'm going to follow you wherever you go. And she says, not only that, but I'm going to accept your people as my people, meaning I'm going to submit. I'm going to adjust to the way things are concerning your people group. You all serve this God. Well, he will now be my God. I'm going to trust him. I'm going to live for him. I'm going to serve him. I'm going to trust him. Yeah. And she became blessed. And the people of that region, when she got back to Bethlehem, the people knew what Ruth had done. They watched her. They knew that, man, this woman, she went through so much. The way her life took a turn, and the fact that she could have gone back, she decided to follow her mother-in-law, who really didn't have anything to offer her. People honored that. Your decisions will either make or break you. What you go through, either that's going to break you or it's going to make you what you face and what you go through. And as a result of whether or not it makes or break you, people are watching. People are watching how you engage your circumstances. People are watching how you handle certain adversity. People are watching. And so they watch Ruth. Yeah, we know who you are. Matter of fact, Boaz tells her that everyone knows that you are a virtuous woman. People have studied you. There were certain characteristics that Ruth walked in that was noticeable. People could pick it up. He says, it has been fully shown me all that you have done unto your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, and how you have left your father and your mother in the land of your nativity and are come unto a people which you know not. He's saying you've left everything to follow a woman. You don't know where her life is going to, uphold, to go into a land where you don't know anyone. You don't know if the people are going to receive you. You don't know if the people are going to like you, if they're going to welcome you. But you were willing to take a step of faith and say, you know what? I don't care about my people group. I don't care about my mother and my father. I don't care about trying to find another husband. Ruth, her focus was not trying to find another man. Her focus was not trying to have kids. Her focus was not trying to restore her life in that way in Moab. Her focus was this woman right here. No, this woman is special. This woman is peculiar. There's something on Naomi that I can't leave. Sometimes the Lord will allow you to engage people like that where you know the Spirit of God is on this person. The Spirit of God is on this woman of God. The Spirit of God is on this man of God. I don't know what it is, but what I do know is that God is with this person and I can't leave them. I can't leave them. It doesn't matter what they go through. It doesn't matter what they face. I cannot leave them. I'm willing to choose God, which is choosing them over the world, over what I'm familiar with, over my people group, over my hometown. I'm willing to choose God. I'm willing to choose the best path. I'm willing to choose the right path. the right path, which is following and pursuing a relationship with God. Because I know that in Him, He's going to fulfill the purposes and the calling on my life. I know that if I walk with God, then He'll make all things work together for my good. And Ruth got to experience the blessings of God. Eventually, she gets remarried to Boaz, and she is blessed with a seed. And it turns out that the child that she has is the grandfather of King David. And we know that Jesus Christ eventually comes through that family line. And so Ruth, because she decided to follow after God, because she decided to go after what she believed was the right thing, her life was blessed. Her life was blessed. So I'll stop here. But yeah, understand that God allows certain things to occur in our lives. He will allow your plans to fail, your goals to fail, all of your accomplishments to mount to nothing, simply to bring you to that crossroad where you make a decision on what you want. Do you want me, or do you want the world? Because your life is going to tell what you want. Your life is going to tell and prove what is important to you. Orpah, she proved what was really important to her. And Ruth, she proved what was really important to her. Is it her people group? Do you feel entitled to stay with your people group because those are your people? Or do you understand that God is calling you from out of your people group? God is calling you to be separate from the world simply so that He can do greater things with you, and so that He can impart his blessings in your life. So you get to decide. So God bless you in Jesus' name.